So in 1995, Wayne Huizinga bought a blimp, and a Blockbuster blimp, and he owned a hot air balloon. And he put the pilots on my budget. And he told me it's real easy. Just keep them in the air. So I called the blimp guy and the hot air balloon guy in Miami. And I told him, just fly. So one day, the guy that owned the video chain here in Orlando called 16,000 Video called me. And he said, are you in charge of Blockbuster? And I said, I am. He said, listen, I can take all your BS, but this is ridiculous. I got a hot air balloon over my stores. I got a balloon flying over the window. I give up. I quit. So if you want to buy my stores, you can buy my stores. So in 1995, we bought 16,000 Video. And that's when Aaron and I first crossed paths, because Aaron worked at 16,000 Videos when we got it. Well, being a genius that I was, I decided, I need to learn how to compete against Blockbuster. So I'm going to leave 16,000 alone. We're going to run it at 16,000, and the Blockbuster and 16,000 out in Orlando. So we did that. And we didn't know this. We didn't even connect it until Candace introduced us. And I started helping her and coaching her on how to create things. So I've known her since she was 17 years old. I'm very proud of her. She's very bright. She's very intelligent. She's very aggressive. And I'm so proud of the person that she's become. She owns a consulting company. She does coaching. We're dedicated to teaching people how to achieve their most ambitious drive, desires in life through the power of neuroscience. She's taking the audiences globally. I've been helping her in the studio on how to create scale to what she does, and my advice is real simple. Erin, be Erin, just be Erin. And today, it's a treat, because you're going to listen to Erin talk to you about the things that she's very passionate about. So if you welcome to Erin Whithead.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I haven't practiced with this microphone. And usually I tend to get pretty passionate. So if it sounds like I'm screaming at you, I just might be screaming at you. So a very special thank you first to Tommy and Rich and Jim for encouraging me to be here today. To Chris, who was the first one to ask me if I wanted to be part of the speakership lineup in 2024. To Candace Griffin, who first introduced me to this group just over 2 years ago. And to everybody in the audience that I have a pleasure of meeting for the very first time today. And to those of you who are streaming from a distance, or those of you who are coming to us in the replay, thank you so much for being here today. I was asked to take the microphone multiple times last year. And never in any of those times was I ever able to look into the audience and see so many familiar faces. So today is a very big treat for me. So Chris said, hey, do you talk about what it is that you do? And I said, absolutely. I said, in fact, there was a time when nobody wanted to hear anything that I had to say. So thank you for asking me to be here today, because I have some things to say. But I wanted to set a goal for myself to be here with you guys. I wanted to set an ambitious AF goal, not just any goal, which means I wanted to set the bar higher for myself, not that I would do anything less. And so I went ahead and set a goal today that I would like to share with you. My goal here today with you, or to anybody who crosses my path, is that I hope to change your life. That's my goal here today, or at least make some sort of positive seismic shift in your life. I'd like to take the time today to change your life. So something that I'd like to do first, because I've made this huge ambitious AF promise, is to introduce you into my world as the human performance coach to the most mentally tough people on the planet by giving you guys a little bit of hope. So if that sounds good, say yes. Now, for any of you still wondering, who exactly is this girl here talking to me today? I'm somebody who cares deeply. That's who. That's why this talk isn't for everybody. It is not for the victim clowns of the world or anybody looking to settle. That is not who I am. That is not what this talk is. And if that is what you thought that you were getting today, I would highly suggest that you get up and you will go enjoy the sunshine outside and come back in about 20 minutes. I want to change the way that you think. Therefore, change the way you live and the way that you show up in your life. And I can do that by showing you the advantage that you have right in front of you in a way perhaps you haven't thought about before. And then maybe, just maybe, I can reach that ambitious AF goal that I promised you just a moment ago. So right now, I'm going to hit you with some information right between the eyeballs. And some of you might think that I'm actually hating on you. And some of you might get really, really, really mad. But for all of you in the audience today who really want to truly feel like you are dominating your life and your time here on God's green earth, I want to make sure that you understand the raw, unfiltered truth of what it's going to take to do just that. Specifically, how to unleash the power of proximity. So I have a question for you by a show of hands. How many of you actually like to feel like you are winning in your life and that you are dominating in your life? Everybody's hand should go up. Okay, who doesn't like to win? Hands up. Who does not like to win? No, you all like to win, but guys, the reality is that most people go through life never feeling like they're coming into proximity with dominating their life. Because dominating your life is one of the hardest things to do, which is why so few people ever attempt it. Which is very, very, very sad for me, if you ask me. In fact, most people don't even think that they need to reach this type of level in their life. There are people who spend their days living with and accepting mediocrity, the bare minimum. They listen intently to the narratives on social media that encourage apathy and laziness and entitlement. And they never celebrate the real work that it takes, like grit and determination and perseverance. And you can't sidestep the victim clowns on social media who like to bang their victim drum for who has the biggest sob story or their poor little bee party, like it's a badge of honor. And I promise you, it is not a badge of honor. And if you scroll on any of the social media platforms, you can't escape the talking heads who want you to believe that being mentally weak and apathetic and lazy and anxious is somehow healthy and good for you. Most people who feed into this narrative never feel like they're dominating in their life whatsoever because they're too busy conforming to and living to the standards that other people set for them. Instead of defining their own definition of success and chasing all of that down with relentless persistence. And if you ask me right now, you are losing, which is why if any of you know me, know that is not what I'm about. That's not what this talk is about. That is not why I am here. This is about you and everything that I know that you still have within, which means I'm going to need to be real with you and raw with you. In fact, the kind of real and raw that's contrary to public opinion. So in order to do that, I'd like you to know what to expect from me during our time together so that you are not caught off guard. In just a minute, this talk is about to expose all of your weaknesses, because that is how you can become aware of the foundational flaws that are in your life. And that is how you can fix the foundational cracks. That is how things change in your life. That is how everything changes. And this is how you win and dominate, which means I'm going to need to talk about you in a way that makes you feel like an outsider in your own skin. But before you think that I'm going to smack you straight into some floofy cliches, I want to be very crystal clear with you. I will not be encouraging you to recite positive affirmations in the mirror. I will not be telling you how awesome you are. And I will not be offering you sympathy for the sake of being polite. I'm going to call you out on your weaknesses in a way that punches you in the throat and wakes you up. So please expect it to hurt. Your obligation for being here today and listening to what I have to say is to bring your uncivilized self to the table. I want you completely isolated in your own mind. Your obligation is to be committed to the way that you feel when you are completely exposed and absolutely comfortable. No inhibitions, no limitations, because that is the space in which I can coach you the best. That is how you're going to glean insights into what I'm saying and the lessons that you can implement into your life. And more importantly, live those lessons every single day, because what you're about to hear has zero tolerance for the soft or the weak. So Rotarians, if that is something that you think that you can handle, then today, I am your human performance coach. And these words are for you. I have never believed so deeply now more than ever at the opportunities, literally, at our fingertips, that I made a decision in my life that changed my trajectory forever. And people call me stupid, and they call me crazy, and they told me that I was insane. They told me my decision wasn't safe, that my ambitions and my aspirations were way too high, that I needed to tone it down just a little bit. And that came from friends and family, the people who love me the most. And after I took what they said into consideration for 0.0 seconds, I trusted everything, every instinct that I had inside of me. And on November 13th, 2015, I did a cannonball off the high dive, straight into dominating my life over and over again. So to any of you in the audience listening, those of you who are watching the replay, or those of you who are coming to us from a distance, if dominating your life is something that you want to do, but you think that you're too average, or you think that you're too ordinary, maybe you're not the smartest girl in the room, maybe you're not the toughest guy on the planet, maybe you're not the most beautiful woman to grace the cover of a magazine, but you want to do something memorable in your life, then maybe, just maybe, I can be an example of that if you take my words seriously for the next few minutes. As a human performance coach, why do I want to even be here with you today? Why would I spend my time with you? Because my goal as a human performance coach is to compress time frames for you. Where is the space that I work as a human performance coach? It is between the space of hesitation and decision, because that is exactly where you continue to spin in circles. I want to compress that time frame for you. What normally takes you 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to jump obstacles, I want to see you jumping them in 4 to 6 months, 2 to 3 weeks even. That's my job. That should sound amazing to you actually right now if you're somebody who wants to dominate your life. So why is it that you think that you continue to spin in your same tired circles? What is the answer to that question? It is because you continue to make the same 4 tired decisions in your life. Today's theme is how to unleash the power of proximity. Oh, and by the way, my recipe for your life, it's not for everybody. It's actually going to bring more chaos into your life, quite frankly, than you've ever experienced, because it will introduce you to the very, very, very best side of you. So I want to make sure I set that stage as well. My recipe will have you running and chasing down problems instead of running away from them. If you are a note taker, the first thing that I want you to write down is to be where your feet are. This is the first lesson in the power of proximity. Be present with what it is that you are doing in your life, because most of you listening here today spend more time being anxious and worried and frustrated and angry and scared and depressed. You're busy living in the past, pointing fingers at who screwed you over, who did you wrong, whose fault is it? Well, it must be the rich people's fault. Or maybe it was your parents growing up because they were really bad to you. Or maybe the government is currently screwing you over. Or maybe your race is screwing you over. Maybe a white man is keeping you down. Or maybe it's all the current crap that's going on in the world today, and you're too busy pointing your fingers instead of understanding that when you point one finger, 4 of them point back at you. The way that your life looks right now is because of you. The only person to blame for the cesspool dumpster fire that you continue to do the backstroke in is the person who stares back at you directly in the mirror. That unhealthy, worried, anxious, depressed, lazy, apathetic, weak example of a human being. And by the way, guys, it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually make the decision to change. You know how many times I hear as a human performance coach inside of a session, Erin, I don't have any control. There's no control that I have over my life. It's not true. You have more control over your life than you think. You have control over the literature that you read. You have control over when you work out and how much you work out. You have control over whether or not you go broke impressing people, or whether or not you spend your money on the responsible things or save it. You have control over how you treat people. You have control over more than what you think. You are just not exercising that control. You are the only person who can change your life. Nobody can do it for you. No one is coming for you. The power of proximity to yourself, if you can get into proximity better, will change your life. The second concept that I want you to remember is I want you to pressure people to do what's right. The one thing that I hear most that I disagree with is to each their own. I do not believe this. And here's why. If for some reason we were to walk outside, and there's train tracks out here, by the way, and there's a train coming, and you went to go cross the tracks, and you weren't going to make it in time, you think maybe I'd pressure you to stop? Yeah, maybe so, because that's a life or death situation. But most of you act like your life is not life or death. You don't act like that at all. You're alive and you don't even act like it. Your inner circle and the people who are in it will determine the outcome of your life. So it's okay to pressure people to higher standards. In fact, you should be holding yourself to higher standards, rising to the challenge, holding other people to higher standards, and making sure that they rise to the challenge as well. The power of proximity to others will change their life. The third concept that I want to go over with you today is to grow, you must suffer. You must suffer greatly, in fact. Most people, when they're suffering, run from this. Why? Because it doesn't feel good. Suffering is actually a skill set, by the way, if you ask me, as a human performance coach. And it's not something that we practice on a daily basis. When we think about suffering, we think more about grief and trauma. But aren't you suffering if you are overweight? Aren't you suffering if you are lazy? Aren't you suffering if you are mentally weak? These are all things that you actually do have control over, regardless of what they tell you on the blame stream media. You have more control over your life, and to suffer, you must suffer greatly. Suffering is a privilege. If you are listening to me right now and you are going through something extremely great, I want you to know that your current challenge is not happening to you, it is happening for you. You have an obligation to overcome. You have been given the title leader, and people are watching you. They are watching how you are going to overcome this challenge and whether you can, because they will make decisions in their life based on what you do with yours. The challenge that you are faced with right now indicates the power that you have within. God gave you an immeasurable amount of power within, and we know that the enemy only attacks what is valuable and great in your life. So I promise you, if you have a very large weight on your shoulders right now, you have an extraordinary amount of power within. So please keep going. The power of proximity to suffering will change your outlook. And the fourth and final point that I want to make is to lead by example. The way that you lead your life tells me whether you have any business leading others. How you lead yourself either qualifies or disqualifies you from leading. The way that you lead your family, the way that you lead your friends, the way that you lead your colleagues, the way that you talk, the way that you complain, the way that you show up, and the decisions that you make in your life. If you are not currently waking up and you are not respecting yourself fully, if you are disrespecting yourself, if you're eating terribly, if you're not exercising, if you are not praying hard and spiritually sound, if you are going broke trying to impress others, please stop. If you come anywhere in proximity to me, I will pressure you as hard as I can to quit it. I promise. So that means no double standards. It means practice what you actually post on social media. It means when nobody's watching and the decisions that you make, actually rise to the challenge. Lead by example. And I know I said this just a moment ago, but it begs repeating. You have been given the title leader, whether formally or informally. And I can promise you that there is somebody listening here right now to my words today who is standing on the edge, waiting for the perfect time to end it all. And I tell you that they are looking at you right now and they are saying, how is my friend handling the challenges in his or her life? Because they will make decisions in their life based on what you do with yours. You are alive. Please, please begin acting like it. The power of proximity to society will change and have the biggest ripple effect than you can imagine, even though you are an individual. It is my obligation to create more leaders in this world, leaders of self, leaders at the individual level. That is my goal. I want to see you all fight for yourself, fight for your future to the point of exhaustion, because I know exactly what you are capable of. I know how great you are. So please, right now, make the decision that dominating in your life is not negotiable, that bringing yourself into the power of proximity is not negotiable, that making your life purposefully harder is not negotiable. Because I promise you, if this failed multiple times human being can do it, you can absolutely do it. Pursue the journey of dominating your life by getting into better proximity with yourself, with others, with suffering, and with your community, because we all need you to dominate your life, because we all need you to still do something great while you are here on God's green earth. And if you want to take on this journey, but you're not quite sure how to do it alone, and you don't have the kind of person in your life who believes in you or who champions you, I would like to apply for that position. I would like to apply for the position to believe in you and to champion you. And if you do decide to fight for yourself and to dominate your life, follow me on social media or wherever you can find me, and I will help you with that fight. If I can give you anything that can help you, it would be my honor to stand with you and your family, shoulder to shoulder, shoulders forward and awake. If I can give you some motivation, if I can give you operational strategies and tactics, if I can give you a little neuroscience on the brain, if I can give you inspiration, I am here to help you because I do know what you are capable of. I know how great you are. You are absolutely not mediocre. You are not average. You are not ordinary. You are absolutely magnificent. You are extraordinary. So do this for yourself. Do this for your family. Do this for your last name. Do this for the Rotarian who's standing on the ledge right now, ready to give up on themselves. Pursue the journey of dominating your life and getting into better proximity with yourself, with others, with suffering, and with your community at large. And remember, Rotarians, your willingness to do this is yours and yours alone. Thank you for your time.
Questions? I don't, made it pretty clear. It's great. Any questions at all, comments? Hold on.
Something you said that really struck me was compress the time between hesitation and decision. That's pretty amazing.
You want to know more about that concept? Yep. Yep. So I work in the space between hesitation and decision where everybody seems to spin. With anybody who crosses my path, there's a decision that needs to be made. The reason that people don't make decisions faster is because they don't come to acceptance fast enough. They're too busy being worried and anxious about, well, what if I make this decision? There's two reasons and only two reasons why people hire a coach, in my opinion. The first is to give themselves permission to do what they really want to do in their life. And two is to validate the fact that they won't fall on their face in front of everybody and look like a big fat failure if they do so, and they want to be coached through the journey. So the answer to your question is, if you want to compress time, move to acceptance faster. Once you do that, there has to be a skill set that you pull on. There has to be a tool in your kit that you have to be able to use. And if that tool is not sharp and it's dull and you don't know how to use it because you haven't been sharpening, then you're probably going to fall on your face a couple of times. And if you ask me, that's okay, because at least you're moving forward and at least you're doing something about it. Or you can just spend the rest of your life spinning in the same tired circles that most people do until they reach their deathbed and start talking about regret.
Erin, give us a short run on neuroscience and your experience with neuroscience and how you got into it.
So one thing that you might not know about me is that I was the front seat passenger in a car with a driver who suddenly decided to die by suicide. I have no memory of the impact. And when I woke up, I was being braced in a C-collar, strapped down to a gurney, thrown into the back of an ambulance, lights and sirens to the hospital. No movement to the right side of my body, spine twisted in the wrong direction, thinking, holy hell, tonight's the night I'm going to die or be paralyzed for life. I prayed the hardest I've ever prayed and said, God, if you give me one more chance, I promise to change my life. I promise to do everything I can, to do everything that I'm supposed to and become the woman that you have created me to be. It took me over a decade to decide to even fulfill that promise. And so what excites me about neuroscience, one is that my brain does not work the same as it used to. So it takes me even longer to understand and to learn than it used to take. And two, I understand the neurogenesis can happen inside the brain. So you can actually create new neuronal connections and you can dissipate the ones that are unproductive and ineffective. And so I thought, maybe I'm interested in neuroscience. So I went and educated myself and got a graduate level certificate and graduated in May with neuroscience. And turns out I love the subject, which just tells you that I have more of an intimate understanding with how the brain and the spinal cord and the nervous system connect. With respect to my field, how you show up in the world with respect to behavior. And I loved it so much that I decided to pursue a master's in the subject matter. So I am currently doing that right now, and I'm number 2 in my cohort.
Hi. So Erin is a very special person in my life. Like I probably wouldn't be in this room with you guys if it wasn't for her. I am not the kind of person, I'm an alpha female, right? And I am not the kind of person that responds very well to all this sweet, fluffy stuff whenever it comes to my own personal development. And I mean, I have a German family, so I don't know who can relate to that. But so Erin really helped me give myself permission, basically, to go do what I was put on this earth to go do. And I know that if God didn't put her in my path, it would have been a longer journey and I wouldn't be me here today. And she is just a beautiful soul inside and out. So I just wanted to share that.
I'm so glad you, hope you keep coming.
Thank you guys for having me. You've been so welcoming. I've been coming to your group for just over, 2 years. As Candace likes to say, it's Erin Whithead, emeritus. And I can promise you that Rich has emailed me the application more than once. So it's sitting in my inbox, but I really appreciate you guys so much.
Decision time.
Well, that's a very good point. All right, very good. I like it. Do you guys have any other questions with respect to human performance coaching or any of the concepts that I went over today or who it is that I work with?
I think that's it. Thank you so much for being here. You are amazing. We have a little gift. I was told to put another application in this document, but we hesitated to do it.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to having you
Okay.
be part of the club. That was the best classification
you.
talk ever.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.